Hi, all. Welcome to English 552, the spring 2021 class, which I'm calling the Anatomy of Comics. I'm putting together this video to let you know kind of how the class will run, a nuts and bolts overview of where you find materials, where you go to submit your discussion forum posts, your papers, and just to kind of run through the syllabus quickly. So if you have not looked at the syllabus yet, you can simply pull up Blackboard, go to this tab on the left called Syllabus, predictably, and then you can download the syllabus from there, and then it will look like this. So my name is Joe Turner. I really don't really care what you call me. You call me Dr. Turner, you can call me Joe, you can call me Mr. Turner. Doesn't matter to me in the slightest. I have a physical office in Bingham Humanities, but I will not be there this semester, and I have a phone in that office that I will not check because I won't be there. So if you want to get in touch with me, do please email me at joseph.turner@louisville.edu. I will respond as quickly as possible, usually the same day, but definitely by the next day. A few notes about the course itself is I have office hours listed from 12 to 2 on Wednesday, but I can meet with you pretty much any time. My schedule is pretty open, and I'm more than happy to schedule something mutually convenient on Teams. So if you want to have a conversation about the course, about a text you read, about a writing assignment, you want to talk about a paper before it's due, anything related to the course, just shoot me an email, and we can either resolve it via email or schedule a meeting on Teams to talk it through. So as I said, these office hours are kind of arbitrary. I can schedule them different times for you, and it is not a problem to do that at all. I have no problem with accommodating your schedule. I know some students work, some people have children, etc. So I'm happy to be flexible and adaptive to what you need. I mentioned this in the first email I sent, but this is the book list. So the course is themed around 1986 to 1987, which I'm aware was before many of you were born. But that was what someone sometimes called an annus mirabilis, or a miracle year, for this particular form. Comics is a form, and we'll talk throughout the semester what the difference between a form and a genre is. But for now, suffice to say that comics are a form that really got a kind of push forward in 86, 87 with these first three books on the list. Art Spiegelman's Mouse, A Survivor's Tale. There's a second book of that came out in 92, I believe. Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' Watchmen, and then Frank Miller and Klaus Janson's Dark Knight Returns. And these three comics were not necessarily the best comics ever written up to this point, but they have an undeniable influence on the subsequent trajectory of comics. And what this course is going to do is to look at those three texts and to really kind of trace out some of the influence they've had on subsequent graphic narrative. You'll hear me use that term sometimes. Graphic narrative, comics, graphic novels, they're all relatively interchangeable. There's politics to them. A comic versus a graphic novel has different connotations on highbrow, lowbrow, etc. We'll get into that too as the course goes forward. But so Art Spiegelman's Mouse gives us a kind of one entryway into the sector of comics that is interested in identity, that is interested in trauma, that's interested in narratives of kind of oppressed and marginalized peoples. And we'll use that to get into texts like Marjane Satrapi's Persepolis, Displacement by Kiki Hughes, Nat Turner by Kyle Baker, and then the Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns had a really profound effect on superhero comics. And we'll kind of get into The Long Halloween, Black Panther, Joe the Barbarian, some other texts that see how they kind of take that history up and do some different things with it in the 2000s, 2010s, etc. So this course will embark on what we often call literary history, or an effort to figure out the tropes and the ways of making meaning that are both native to comics. And what I mean by that is how do comics make meaning differently than traditional print literature, and also within the previous explorations in comics, right? So there's 86, 87 books, which kind of influence still radiates out from them. You may have seen the tremendous Watchmen adaptation on HBO, for example, which is not an adaptation of the comic necessarily, but a kind of moves forward 35 years or something, and then kind of writes a sequel to it. So these are the books. As I said, I'm sorry that there is a rather robust reading list. There's not a whole lot I can do about that until they start making a Norton anthology of comics. The next thing I want to talk about are the discussion forum posts. This is what you'll be doing every week. So how this works is that you have primary posts and secondary posts. Every Wednesday, you will be required to respond to a series of questions that I put on Blackboard under the discussion board tab. And then by Friday, you will be required to respond to 2 of your peers' comments. And so the primary discussion forum posts are your major responses. As I say, they need to be at least 250 words, about a double-spaced page and a half, something like that, every week. And then when you post your primary posts on Wednesday, then you have until Friday to respond to 2 of your peers' posts. Now, these secondary posts can be shorter. They need to be about 150 words total, but they can be longer, right? These need to be focused. They need to be argumentative. I do not want to hear about your necessarily feelings about a text, whether you liked it or didn't like it. I want you to analyze how they work or don't work. And I'm going to put together a video on what makes a good discussion forum post and what doesn't in the next week. So you'll have that before your first discussion forum post is due. And the third thing is to please respond to others. So if anybody responds to your text, your primary post or your secondary post, give them a short response, even if it's just a few sentences, to let them know what your thoughts are about that, and to just acknowledge the effort that they put in. And as far as acknowledging others, I just want to be clear too that I will not tolerate any personal or abusive attacks. This is a space that should be governed by the same decorum and ethos that you would bring to a face-to-face class. So in no way, shape, or form is it okay to berate others, to imply that the quality of their ideas is subpar, etc. This is a respectful place, and treat it just like you would face-to-face conversations with others in terms of how you interact. The next thing I want to talk about are the papers. So you will have 3 5 to 7 page papers due this term. This would be the primary way, in addition to the discussion forum posts, in which you will be graded. Because we do not have face-to-face meeting times, all of our interactions will be virtual. So I try to use the discussion forum to kind of give us some sense of how a classroom dynamic might work. And then the papers are my way of seeing how you express your ideas in writing, support them. And, one of the things I want you to come out of this class with is not just an understanding of comics, but also the ability to render those ideas and that understanding in persuasive language. I think that one of the things, particularly for the English majors in the room, is that you should be the best writers on campus. And not only that, but you should be the best writers on the job market when you go to do that one day. So I take the teaching of writing very seriously. You'll see that one of the things that I believe that I owe you is to read every draft thoroughly, to supply feedback within 1 week, within 7 days, and then to allow you the time and opportunity to revise and then submit the final paper, which I will also respond to within 7 days. So you'll be hearing a lot from me on your papers and also on your discussion forum posts about writing. So that's an aspect of the class that you should be aware of. So I did mention something about what I owe to you. So I do think that I owe you prompt responses to your emails, respectful commenting on your papers within a reasonable amount of time, which to me is 1 week. And I will do my best to look at your trajectory and development as a writer and thinker throughout the course. I will, at the end of the course, read paper 1, 2, and 3 next to each other and kind of see what are some things that you can continue to work on even after the class is over. So these are some things that I believe that I owe you as your professor, and as someone who appreciates you signing up for this class and spending the next 13 or 14 weeks with me is what I think a really interesting archive of materials. I also should say something about content warnings. Some of these texts are difficult, they're mature, they depict sexual violence. They depict violent, non-sexual violence. They are mature. So please do know that coming into the course, that if you are someone for whom certain types of literature or depictions may be troubling, then please talk to me and we can talk about which text you might focus on more so than others. And also, when I put out these instructional videos, there will be spoilers. So if you're somebody for whom spoiling is a problem, it's not a problem for me. For example, I don't really care what happens. I'm more interested in how it happens. Then, read the text before you watch my videos. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the calendar and how it works. So for week 1, for example, you should watch this video and any other videos I post. And by Friday, the 15th, you should have read Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics, which is linked here. If you just push Control and then click that link, it will come up. I want you to peruse this list of comic studies terms. That should only take you 5 minutes or so. And then read Hilary Schute's Comics as Literature, Reading Graphic Narrative. And then watch this short video, How to Read Comics the Marvel Way. These will all give you background on how to literally read a comic. If you're not familiar with that, if you don't have a deep understanding or background of comics, this will help you get that. So what you can do is you can click these links. The other thing you can do is to go to Blackboard, and under Course Content Schedule, you can click that. You'll see that I'm filling out each week of material. So week 1, I'm there. I go over to Blackboard, click on week 1, and I can find Hilary Schute's Comics as Literature, Reading Graphic Narrative, which you should read for week 1. You should also do your introductory post by the 13th. But basically, anything that's on the syllabus should be completed by the day listed. So by Wednesday, January 20th, you should watch whatever instructional video I post. You should read Mouse, and then you should read The Frenzy of the Visible in Comic Book Worlds, and complete the primary discussion forum post, right, by midnight on the Wednesday, January 20th. And then your secondary post should be by midnight on Friday, the 22nd. If you look forward, you also see that the papers will be due on Sundays. If that's a day of prayer or something for you, then feel free to turn it on Saturday. Feel free to turn it on Friday. So I'm giving you a heads up on the due dates for these things. The final thing you should look for is the discussion board tab. Right, so I've added that right here on the left. You'll see the introductions are up. If I click on that, I can see who has already posted there. So Jessica, for example, has posted her first thing, and I've responded. I will respond to each of your posts. Okay, so this video is getting a little long, so I'll stop it here. Please reach out if you have any questions, and I look forward to meeting you virtually next week.